Hello and welcome to World News here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Kate. We are ready to host such a meeting at any time, said Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, answering a question about whether his country could host a Trump-Putin summit.
Russian President Vladimir Putin and his American counterpart were to hold talks in Budapest, but Trump unexpectedly put the plan on hold, citing a lack of diplomatic progress. This came in the wake of Russia's refusal to cease fighting along the current front line. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Trump and Putin met only once in Alaska in August. But that get-together failed to produce a tangible outcome. Turkey has played host to several rounds of negotiations in the Russo-Ukrainian war, with President Erdoğan saying his country is considered a reliable mediator by both Russia and Ukraine.
Turkey has been center stage when it comes to peace negotiations, said Istanbul University professor Kyiv Ulusoy when asked about Turkey's role in mediating the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. Our guest also commented on the possibility of a future Trump-Putin meeting in Turkey.
Turkey has been for some time trying to be a center position in terms of these peace negotiations and international arrangements, etc. And that's why Turkey is ready to host any meeting of this kind. But more importantly, the personal relationship between Erdoğan and Putin, Erdoğan and Trump, might allow Turkey to host these kind of meetings. But let's see what will happen.
The Ukrainian capital was hit with ballistic missiles overnight. Several fires were reported across the city. One person was killed and 10 others were injured in the attack. Earlier during the night, the Kyiv mayor urged people to hide in shelters and released updates about consecutive explosions in various districts of the capital city. The head of Kyiv's military administration, Timur Tkachenko, said a kindergarten was damaged during the attack. The Ukrainian Air Force reported it was able to down 4 of the 9 missiles and 50 of the 62 drones launched by Russia in attacks across Ukraine. Ukrainian authorities say Russian strikes within the past 24 hours killed 6 and injured 24. Russia, the US and Ukraine are close to reaching a diplomatic solution to the war. That's according to Putin's envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, who is currently in the US for high-level talks with Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff.
Speaking to CNN, Dmitriev, who serves as the Russian president's special envoy for investment and economic cooperation, also claimed that, contrary to what the US president had said, the Budapest meeting between Putin and Trump wasn't cancelled but postponed, and the two leaders are set to meet at a later date. The get-together was called off by Trump over a lack of progress in war-ending diplomatic efforts, after Russia said no to an immediate ceasefire. Dmitriev's visit in Washington comes as the US slapped sanctions on Russia's 2 biggest oil companies to put extra pressure on Putin to bring the war to an end. Dmitriev and Witkoff are expected to meet later on Saturday.
I'd like China to help us out with Russia, said US President Donald Trump, adding that he'll be discussing how China could play a part in putting an end to the war in Ukraine with President Xi.
I'd love China to help us out with Russia. We put very big sanctions on Russia. I think those sanctions are going to be, they're very biting, they're very strong. But I'd like to see China help us out. I have a good relationship with, as you know, President Xi. Very good. We're going to be meeting. We'll have a good meeting. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a great meeting, maybe a great meeting. But I think we're going to do some good business. One of the things we'll talk about is the Russia-Ukraine. They're killing 7,000 people a week, soldiers, mostly soldiers, and we'll certainly be talking about that. He'd like to see that end too.
Friday saw the Coalition of the Willing convene in London, hosted by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. European leaders have been hard at work this week trying to deliver urgent support to Ukraine. TVP World guest Dr. Owen Michael McNamara, a researcher at the Finnish Institute of International Affairs, commented on the meeting.
I think when we look back at the last 6 months, not just the last EU summit, we can see that the EU has been very good at managing the crisis in transatlantic relations. We have had a shortage of weapons coming from the United States. There was doubts on whether Donald Trump would turn off the tap of military supplies completely. But of course, the UN or the European Union stood in. The European Union does not have the same military clout as the United States, but it does have financial clout, and it was able to strike a deal with the Trump administration that U.S. weapons supplies for Ukraine would continue, but this would be financed by European money. So this has kept Ukraine very much on the battlefield these last few months, and has been an effective way of managing the crisis in transatlantic relations.
Europeans will sleep an hour longer on Saturday night as they will set their clocks back from 3 a.m. to 2 a.m. This is part of the time change that happens twice a year to make the most efficient use of seasonal daylight.
Only 4 European countries, Iceland, Belarus, Turkey and Russia, will not switch from summertime to wintertime. Research shows that time change has a detrimental impact on human health, leading to an increased number of strokes and an uptick in cases of obesity. In 2018, the European Commission proposed abolishing the time change, but the matter came to a standstill at the EU Council level, as countries couldn't reach a decision which time, winter or summer, should stay. According to a survey by the Polster Research Institute, 61% of Poles are against time changes, with a mere 15% in favor.
After a fresh wave of snowfall blanketed the Polish Tatra Mountains on Friday, the Tatra National Park warns visitors of extremely dangerous hiking conditions and advises against mountain excursions this weekend. Snow now covers large parts of the Tatra Mountains, with layers over 20 centimeters thick reported in some areas. Heavy clouds continue to hang low over the peaks, obscuring visibility and increasing risks for anyone attempting high-altitude routes along the peaks. According to park authorities, many trails and their markings above 1,300 meters are now covered with snow, making it easy for hikers to stray off course. Park authorities further advise visitors to avoid the upper sections of the range unless they have solid winter season climbing experience and proper gear. Saturday marks World Pasta Day. It's a celebration of the beloved versatile dish and the perfect opportunity to try new pasta recipes. Pasta is served in various forms all over the world, but the country recording the highest consumption is Italy, the world's largest producer and exporter of pasta. An average Italian consumes 23 kilograms a year, and more than 80% of Italians have pasta regularly, with over 400 types of the product available on the Italian market. This week, U.S. pianist Eric Liu won this year's prestigious 19th International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition in Warsaw. The 27-year-old, who takes home the gold medal and a prize of 60,000 euros, describes the win as a dream come true. Following the competition, the winner's concert tour is now underway. Eric Liu will perform a solo recital on Sunday in Wrocław, and Kevin Chen and Liu will play in Poznań on Monday. The tour will continue across Italy, Estonia, South Korea, Japan, Canada, France and other countries, running through August 2026.
Contestants from 7 countries competed for the honours in the 19th International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition in Warsaw. In the end, American pianist Eric Liu won the top prize at the prestigious event.
I'm so grateful for this honor. I'm grateful for all the Chopin lovers around the world who watched online and all the audience here in Warsaw. I'm grateful for the jury to bestow me this honor, and this is a dream come true, of course.
Considered one of the most prestigious piano competitions in the world, it's open to pianists under 30 years old. One of this year's contestants spoke to TVP World about the competition's jury.
I think they are looking for the true Chopinist who can really express emotions of Chopin, who can really tell the story throughout the music of Chopin. And that was the point that I was focused on during my preparation for this competition.
Canadian Kevin Chen bagged the silver medal, while Chinese pianist Zitong Wang was awarded third place in the event. Pyotr Alexievich, the only Pole to reach the competition's finals this year, finished joint fifth alongside Vincent Ong of Malaysia. Hyuk Lee said the Chopin event stands out among international competitions.
We are all here to show our love, our passion for Frédéric Chopin. So I would say that's the biggest difference that makes Chopin competition so special.
The 27-year-old winner, Eric Liu, is set to perform a concert after an awards gala later on Tuesday.
That's all for World News. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you happen to be in the Tatra Mountains this weekend, make sure that you stay safe, and we'll leave you with some images of those beautiful mountains. Goodbye.